So these are the results for the first year. In the first year, we got a real GDP growth of 2.9%, unemployment rate of 4.9%, an inflation rate of 2.5%, and a budget deficit of 2.8%. The, the things we changed were we changed interest rate and decreased it by 0.5%, and we did not change income tax, and we changed corporate tax to 28%, and increased government spending at 31 billion. All the goals were achieved since GDP growth was above 2.5%, unemployment rate was below 5%, and inflation rate was below 3%, and budget deficit was below 3%. Therefore, all goals that I wanted to get were achieved. As I predicted, when I changed interest rate, there was more money in the economy, since there was more money supply. Therefore, I was able to stimulate the economy. This meaning was that people borrowed more. Therefore, with increased borrowing, this led to more consumption of goods. So aggregate demand shifted to the right. When aggregate demand shifted to the right, this also led to the increase in inflation by 0.5%. Also, by the increase of inflation, we saw the unemployment decrease by 0.1%. Inflation at 2.5 is not bad, since I still have some room for myself to stimulate the economy. I do have to also keep in mind that I don't want inflation going above 3%. I want it to stay always below 3%. So for the future, I have to remember that by changing little things, my inflation rate increased by 0.5%. Like the multiplier predicted, each minor change I did to government expenditure, corporate tax, and interest rate, this led to an effective shift in aggregate demand to the right. Like mentioned before, decrease in interest rate led to more money supplying the government. One thing I noted was that although, as predicted, the negative effect this interest rate had was that the value of the currency decreased by very little, but still decreased. When a decrease in corporate tax, like predicted, led to an increase in real GDP growth, and not that now that GDP growth is 2.9%. That means there were more firms and more corporations that were able to produce products, which later on were sold. By selling these products, real GDP increased. Therefore, the goal of maintaining GDP growth above 2.4% was reached. Government expenditure was also very helpful, especially in the unemployment. They decreased unemployment by 0.1%. Therefore, reaching the goal of keeping unemployment below 5%. As I mentioned earlier, I did not change income tax, and I believe not changing income tax was the right choice, because by changing income tax, I would have had to change also the other factors. But since I didn't change income tax, the only role of income tax was to keep letting the government get revenue. Therefore, the revenue got from the income tax was later on able to be used for government expenditure and be used for creating more jobs, because that's a role that government expenditure was helpful for.